We got some of the biggest balance changes we've ever seen in Brawl Stars, so I'm going to completely break those down for you. But we also got some other sweet update sneak peeks. Let's do it. Alright, the first thing you probably want to know is everything else about 8-Bit. Well, you can see right here, his new star power, I was right. It does actually increase the range of 8-Bit's super turret. And that's right, if you didn't know, his damage boost for his little turret, whatever you want to call it, the damage booster, it is, in fact, 30%. That extra 30% damage does not apply to any sort of spawnables like turrets, like a bear, like a Tara Shadow. It also doesn't apply to the robot on your team in Siege. It also doesn't apply to the Ike turret on your team in Siege. Important things to note. Also, his new skin, 8-Bit Classic, which I actually can't show you right now. It's not in the dev build at the moment, but it is going to cost 30 gems. Pretty freaking nice. One of the cheapest skins in the game. Not a crazy change. Don't know if it has any attack animations, but 30 gems isn't too bad. Also, you probably noticed he only has 1 star power here. He is going to get that 2nd star power, but it's not coming for a couple weeks. I'm not entirely sure why. It might be that it's not done being coded, and when you think about what his new star power is, it kind of makes sense. His new star power is that whenever 8-Bit dies, actually no, I'm saying this wrong. When 8-Bit dies, he will automatically respawn with full health, but he can only respawn once per game. Now he will have a little bit of immunity when he respawns, so this sounds like a pretty strong star power, but it is only once per game that it works. So for instance, probably the most useful place will be in Showdown, and in 3v3, not entirely sure how useful that star power will be. But it's a pretty unique star power, interesting. It's kind of like a different form of Band-Aid, I guess. And yes, Band-Aid is getting nerfed, but we'll talk about that later. Also to note,
you win!
He has voices!
Layer 1, get ready.
Pretty solid ones. Yeah, I guess robots are easier to do voices for? I'm not sure. Anyways, that's pretty cool. Let's keep going. He is unlockable on Trophy Road at 6,000 trophies. If you're already 6,000 trophies, you will unlock him automatically. Now, you can see Piper icon, gotta rework. Her eyes are open now, and this is actually her new skin. It's going to be available for star points for 500 star points, so pretty cheap, not too bad if you want it. Pink Piper, kind of cool. Not a crazy difference. Also, I want to note, it's way easier to jump backwards now with Piper's super on like an iPad or any sort of device. I kind of feel like she goes higher in the air, although it doesn't take longer as far as how long she's in the air. But definitely nice to actually have her super work for all of us now. Hooray! Iris Tora, the new Tara skin, is also going to be available for 500 points. I didn't actually check if there's any attack animations, so let me do that. And now for the super. Also the same. Yep. Well, to be fair, it is a 500 point star point skin, so hey, not too bad. And then the Leone Skate, which for some reason I can't show right now in dev build. Hey, it is what it is. It's going to be 80 gems. Not crazy expensive, but I don't know if it has an attack animation. I'm guessing it has a good chance of having one, but we'll see. Also, there were some animation changes. Penny now has a different losing animation, and actually slightly different winning animation. She has like a hair flip as well. And also, Bunny Penny now does in fact have a losing animation. Bummer. Just kidding. Mortis attack animation is like slightly different as well. I'll show a side-by-side comparison. Doesn't look that different, but just something to note. Now, one huge thing, let's see, have you noticed? Brawl Ball is actually going to be available 24/7 in this 3rd slot now. That's right. Jungle 24/7, Showdown 24/7, Brawl Ball 24/7, which means the 4th slot is going to be shared by Siege, Bounty, and Heist. They're going to rotate. So, I mean, I think a lot of people really enjoy Brawl Ball. It's one of the more, maybe the most favorite 3v3 game modes. So I think it's definitely good that that's available 24/7. Definitely a lot of people do like Siege, Bounty, and Heist some. Siege probably the least favorite. We'll see if this is the final game mode rotation. I think ultimately, hopefully Brawl Stars adds one more game mode, right? And then they add another game mode slot, and then there's 4 game modes that share 2 game mode slots, and instead of having 3 in 1. And that would probably be pretty ideal, I think, but we gotta wait for another new game mode for that to be possible. Also, because of this, a bunch of maps got removed, but there's also a lot of new maps. We'll show those in a moment, but one thing I really want to show you is there's also a new rank system, right? I talked about this earlier. The new ranks go all the way up to rank 35. So rank 25, which is 750 trophies, you get 400 star points. At rank 30, which is 1,000 trophies, you get 500 star points. At rank 35, which is 1,250 trophies, you get 600 star points. Now, if any of the brawlers you have ever reached one of those ranks, you will automatically get those star points. But one other really huge change is the season end reset is now different. Basically, I think overall you might be getting more star points, but also the reset is different. It's now basically kind of tiered. You reach a certain trophy tier, and then when the season ends, you will get more star points, and the reset will be slightly different. So now you reset based on whatever sort of trophy tier you're in. Goes all the way up to 1,400 trophies. So if you're at 551 trophies or 599 trophies, you will get the same amount of trophies for that brawler, and you will reset to the same trophies for that brawler. Now, I can't show it in dev build because it doesn't let me look at shops, but there are going to be 2 new boxes in the Star Shop. They're basically boxes you're familiar with. Big boxes and mega boxes. That's right. So big boxes are going to cost 500 star points. Mega boxes are going to cost 1,500 star points. That's a lot of work probably for something like a mega box, but maybe it is fair. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know what you think about those prices. But hey, at least we can now spend our star points on boxes if you want. Also, there's going to be a new event, I think sometime in early September, called the Showdown Moon Festival event. And in that event, the Showdown boxes will look different and the power cubes will look different. I'm really excited to have an event that affects the in-game style like this. But I guess we'll see. Okay, before we go over balance changes, let me quickly show you what new maps there are and what is being removed. Gem Grab, this is the new map we're getting. I don't know if anything's getting removed. I don't think so. Showdown, we're getting 4 maps removed, 4 maps added. Desert Vortex, new one. Outrageous Outback is a new one. Barren Badlands, another new one. And Critical Crossing. And we're getting Eye of the Storm, Thousand Lakes, Hot Point, and Skull Creek removed from Showdown. In Heist, we're getting 2 maps removed, Beachcombers and Side Story, and we're getting Figure 8 added to the map. You also notice these little blue things, those are actually benches, which is just another obstacle. You can't actually sit in them. It's just an new obstacle in game. In Bounty, 3 maps are getting removed. Temple Ruins, Sunstroke, and Burning Sands, and Overgrown Oasis is the new map. In Brawl Ball, I'm not sure if anything is getting removed. It's quite possible because there are 5 new maps. Field Goal, Post Haste, and it makes sense a little bit, I guess, because it is now up 24/7. So maybe that's part of the reason here. We're getting all of these new Brawl Ball maps. And this map is the display is bugged in dev build, but it shouldn't look like that in game. Seas, there's no new maps, and there are 3 being removed. Mecha Match, Straight Shot, and Assembly Attack. All right, and now for the huge balance changes. As you can imagine, there's a lot of star power changes. In fact, one of the star powers is getting completely reworked. Jeans. And thank God, because his original second star power was horrible. All right, new star power is when Gene's super is fully charged and he doesn't use it, he's going to do an extra 300 damage with his main attack. I think this is a pretty solid star power. At the least, I can see it being useful. We'll have to apply it in game and see. I mean, obviously, as a Gene, you want to be using your super. But you're not always going to have you want to save it for the right moment. So you're still going to be attacking with your super occasionally and not using it right away. So it has some value. We'll see how good it is, though. Probably not amazing. Coral is getting a solid buff. And he was ranked pretty low in my last ranking, so I think it's deserved. He's getting his main attack projectile speed increased by 8%, which is a lot. So that's really going to help Cory out. I do expect him to be pretty dang strong now. His second star power is also getting a buff. Protective Pirouette, the shield for that is increasing from 30% to 40%. I still don't think this is going to be that great of a star power, but maybe the attack speed star power, his first one, is less important now with his main attack just getting an overall attack speed buff. So maybe this is a much more viable star power. Colt's first star power is getting a buff to compete with his second one even more. His first star power, the speed, is going from 8% to 10%. Now, if a lot of you maybe from beta players remember, Colt's original star power, it used to be, I think, maybe 11%, and it was amazing. So this will definitely compete with his other star power now. It's probably not going to be overpowered, but movement speed is a really solid attribute, so I do think this will be a pretty good star power. Pam's getting a buff to both of her star powers. Mama's Squeeze is going from 300 damage per second to 500 damage per second. This will definitely have some niche uses, like in Brawl Ball. It will definitely become a solid star power, but it's not going to be a star power that's used everywhere. 500 damage per second is pretty solid, but again, it's just counterintuitive to Pam. You don't really want to be playing aggressive turrets, so it won't be an amazing star power, but it will have some definite uses. Mama's Hug, though, is also getting a buff from 30 healing per hit to 40 healing per hit. So, I mean, a 33% increase is really solid. So, I mean, this is just going to be really good. It's going to make it hard for Mama's Squeeze to really get more use, because that is a really solid buff to Mama's Hug. But hey, both of her star powers were not amazing, so it's definitely, I mean, Pam appreciates. Bo's star power, Circling Eagle, his vision star power, is getting a buff. It's going from an extra 2 tiles to an extra 3 tiles. So now a total of a 5-tile vision for Bo. This was needed. His first star power was pretty bad, didn't have many uses except on like super specific maps. Now, definitely going to have more uses, especially in Showdown and some basically bounty maps. Those are going to be the main places. Although there are a lot of other maps, or some other maps, that have a decent amount of grass where this will be really good. I don't think this will be amazing, but it will, of course, be very useful on specific maps. Brock's first star power is getting a buff to compete with rocket number 4. It's going from an extra 300 damage per hit with the fire to 400. Definitely solid buff. It'll be especially useful in places like Heist, maybe even Siege, where you can use that Incinerate Fire and hit every single second of the fire on like the Ike turret or on the safe. Those are going to be solid places for this star power now. Otherwise, though, you probably might still want rocket number 4, but they're pretty close as far as damage. Tick is getting a buff, and this one is really annoying. Tick's attack radius for the mine explosion is increasing by 11%. I definitely wanted a buff to Tick. This was not really the buff I wanted. It is still going to be a random pattern, and this will be very annoying, especially with his new star power. We'll see how this works out. On specific places like in Bounty or in Thrower maps, Tick is going to be really good, I think. But we'll have to wait and see. El Primo's first star power is getting a buff to compete with his second one, El Fuego. The damage is going from 800 to 1,000. So a 200 damage buff, 25% increase. Solid, not too bad. It's not gonna be amazing still. Like, I still probably don't prefer this star power over the other one, but maybe in maps where you know you're gonna be fighting against other tanks, this will be a really solid one to have, because that extra 1,000 damage will definitely help. Frank's Sponge star power is getting a small 10% buff, going from 1,000 extra health to 1,100. Not going to make a huge difference for Frank. The biggest difference for Frank is going to be that nerf to Band-Aid, which, why not? Let's go over that now. So Band-Aid is getting a huge reduction. Instead of going an extra, I think it was 4,000 or was full health for Shelly, it's now going to be 2,000 health for Shelly whenever that Band-Aid activates. So a huge nerf for Band-Aid. I do still think Band-Aid is going to be pretty good, but it's not going to be S tier anymore. It might still be A tier, at least in Showdown. In 3v3, it might not be, it's probably more of a B tier star power, I think, with this. But it'll still be a solid star power, just nowhere close to overpowered. Rose is getting a general buff. She's getting a 200 health increase, so not a huge difference for Rosa. I mean, that nerf to Band-Aid Shelly is going to be the biggest difference for Rosa. Rosa will probably be an S tier brawler or close to it now. She was strong before. Nerf to her biggest counter and a buff to her. She's going to be really good. Spike's first star power, Fertilizer, is getting a small buff to compete more with Curveball, which is one of the most complained about star powers by pros. Fertilizer is going from 500 healing per second to 600. Now, I think Curveball is also one of the most overrated star powers, so I think the first star power is going to be basically just as good as Curveball. Both these star powers are going to be really good. That is a lot of healing. Now, Maybe Spike might not always be able to use it, but Spike can be super aggressive. Now, even more healing, this is a really solid star power for Spike. Tara, both of her star powers are getting buffs. Healing Shade is actually just getting an AI buff. Her pet for Healing Shade will no longer heal someone if they are full health. It's definitely going to be useful, right? It's not very useful if you're not actually getting any healing. So it'll go towards the person who actually needs healing now. Also, Black Portal star power, the pet is getting a health increase from 2,400 to 3,000. Solid increased amount of health. Definitely going to help out that star power. But again, I don't really think it was the star powers that needed buffs. Although an AI buff is always good. But I really think it's Tara herself that needs the buff, not her star powers. BB's second star power is getting a buff. And you probably also noticed in some of the gameplay here, I don't know if it's shown up yet or not, but now whenever her home run bar now when her home run bar is fully charged, it actually goes to red. And this is the same with Mortis. Just a little AI change so you know exactly, not AI, UI, so you know exactly when that is charged. Now batting stance star power is increasing from a 30% shield to a 40% shield. I'm totally cool with this. Wasn't a great star power. Home run was definitely the better option. And as a star power that doesn't see much use, because once you attack, it's gone. It's kind of a little weird, but it definitely will be pretty solid. Leon's second star power is getting a buff as well. Invisi healing is going from 600 healing per second to 800. This is definitely going to help him a little bit. I think I overrated this star power when it first came out. I thought it was going to be better. That extra movement speed from his first star power was really solid, and actually you could just kind of heal while you were running away, so having the healing from the star power wasn't as huge as you would think. Now this is definitely going to help him, but again, you could already heal to full health with the 600 health per second, so I don't think it's going to get that much better. It's probably just going to be a little bit better, and it'll be a decent star power, but not a Mortis Coiled Snake is getting a nerf from 100% increase to his dash range to 75. It's still going to be a good star power. I wouldn't cry too much. Look, overall, Mortis maybe needs a buff, but I think the nerf to Coiled Snake was definitely justified. Poco Screeching Solo also getting a nerf from 1,200 damage to 1,000. Really solid nerf. Definitely was needed. One of the most overpowered star powers in the game, along with Coiled Snake and Band-Aid. This was really good nerf. Poco probably needs a buff, but this was a good balance. Daryl's getting a bit of a buff and a nerf. Daryl's first star power, Steel Hoops, the damage reduction is going down from 30% to 25%. I don't really think that was needed because Daryl's not in a great place right now, and his other star power sucks, if anything, but that's not actually getting touched. But one buff for Daryl is now, you know how before when he fired his shotguns, the spread came out from wherever the two shotguns were. Now, both times for both shots, they'll come out from the same place. They'll come out from the center of Daryl. So now you're going to be a lot more accurate with your shots for Daryl, especially if any chip shot with Daryl is going to be way more accurate. Good change for Daryl. Overall, should help him deal a little bit more damage. So I think that's nice, but we'll see if this has a big impact or not. I do think it was good, though. Piper's getting nerfed and a buff. I'm sure you can imagine Snappy Sniping is getting a nerf. I don't think it's enough. I think this is the new best star power in the game, even with this nerf. It's going to go down from 0.5%, or sorry, 0.5 on ammo being recharged to 0.4. So it's not a big nerf. I really think this needs to get to like 0.3. This is still incredibly good because look, you can still use that recharge to keep on just stacking and getting more and more and more shots. So it's still a really, really good star power. I do think this is the best star power in the game, even with this nerf. Her other star power is getting a buff, Ambush, going from 500, a max of 400 damage in a bush, to a max of 500 damage in a bush. And again, that's at long range. But imagine Piper with 8-bit. By God, that's going to be such a crazy combo. With either of these star powers, going to be so good. Now, once the update is out, I will max out 8-bit right away. Let me know what type of gameplay you want to see, though. Do you want that video out as soon as possible, just facing 0 trophy noobs? Or would you prefer me to push it up and face some more realistic scenarios? Let me know down below what you'd like to see. That is going to be it for today's video, though. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.